Sabine Hall, Vice President, Technical Sales and CTO of Middle East and Africa at IBM. You are welcome at أولا اقتصاد وأعمال website, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. First of all, IBM has launched in 2018 the Call for Code initiative, which invites developers and problem solvers around the world to build solutions that fight back against pressing issues. And today, IBM is launching Call for Code Spot Challenge Beirut. What can you tell us about this initiative?
So first of all, Rania, thank you for inviting me and to talk about Call for Code Spot Challenge Beirut. To give you a little bit of context, let me talk about Call for Code. It's a global initiative, as you mentioned, which is running in the past 3 years. It's a partnership between the David Clark Cause, IBM, and the United Nations Human Rights Organization. And we are reaching more than 300,000 open source developers globally to come together to tackle challenges linked to natural disasters, the climate crisis, or most recently around COVID-19. So it's a great pool of talent who can drive innovation, who can solve problems and come up with new solutions. But it's a challenge which runs over a duration of 5 months. So they build teams of 5 people, they pick a topic they want to tackle, and then they code and build a solution which actually can work. So obviously this is not something which we were able to do in the current situation, because speed is very important to help humanitarian organizations to tackle the crisis in Lebanon. So what happened when the explosion happened on August 4th? Many of my colleagues reached out to me and said, so what can we do to help? You know, this is like the great part of IBMers, they always want to help. And we were thinking, we're really a technology company, we have the skills, the resources, and we have a big network where we can come together and make a difference. And we have something what is called a spot challenge, which is focusing on local crisis, where we can reach out and build a much shorter event. But if we go down the path of a traditional hackathon, which is usually something between 3 days and 2 weeks, we don't have the time to actually build a sustainable solution. It usually gets into the ideation part to understand the problem and come up with an idea and a very early stage of a solution. And so we took a step back and thought, all right, so we are doing these kind of engagements in various cases over many years with the IBM Foundation. And we said, okay, let's find a solution which addresses parts of the problems faced in Lebanon, but we can enhance the functionality. So we can call on the developers to come together, understand the situation, the challenges on the ground, and pick a piece they want to develop. And we all take this together and build a solution which helps and is sustainable and which can actually put to work. That was really important for us. We just didn't want to come up with an idea. We wanted to have something which works.
Okay. How do you think the technological solutions provided by IBM will help in managing donations in Lebanon, especially that there are several challenges in the country regarding this, the management issue?
Yeah, so basically the first step is really to understand what is the challenge. So we had numerous conversations with international nonprofit organizations operating on the ground, universities and grassroots organizations and developer networks to understand what is the challenge and how we can help. And at the same time also to understand what is already in place. So we don't want to duplicate our efforts, we want to complement it. We want to build a richer solution which actually helps more than what is in place together. And what we identified are really 3 areas where we said we can help. So one is transparency. What are the donations available across all the organizations and who receives it? Is that a fair distribution? And this is really a blocker they saw by international organizations to be willing to provide actually the goods which are required. They want transparency. The second part is data, and that comes really in different parts. First of all, the data available on the ground. A lot of work is done manually, and manually I don't mean paper, but like spreadsheets, little spot solutions, but there is no comprehensive insight on what can be done. And so this is one part, to collect all this information. And the second part is also, as we go forward in supporting the people, the demand changes. And so we can predict what is required in terms of help so that these international organizations activate the network to get the right donations. And the third part is around governance. This is around the recipient registry. So I hear there are different ways which are in place. There are spreadsheets with people who are available, who are eligible for donations. There might be a citizen registration which can be leveraged, or to make it easy, to use, for example, cell phone numbers to identify who is receiving, who should register, receive goods, and to make sure it's not duplicate. So one family receives a lot of help and the neighboring family receives nothing. And that's all topic areas where technology can help. So another part is also automation. So a lot of these processes are manual. So for example, from getting a request for a donation to identify what is available, how to get it to the person. And technology can help reduce the cycle of these processes by 90%. So just imagine something which might need an hour to process is all of a sudden only 10 minutes, so you can provide more help to more people in a shorter period of time. And that was really our intention, to put this technology we have in place around data governance, business process automation, and build a platform which helps the humanitarian organizations on the ground and the people in need to receive help in an efficient and fair manner.
Okay, and this is the first initiative issued by IBM. No other companies took this initiative and launched such a platform for managing donations in the country.
So I cannot speak for Lebanon in particular, not that we are aware of, but I have seen this kind of platform to manage donations, to orchestrate and bring a collaboration in several hackathons I have been participating in the past. So we had a Code for Cairo challenge last year, where this was a theme which came up. I have been on 2 other hackathons as a judge in the past year. And this has been a repeating topic, so it seems there are always, because time is so precious, people just start reacting and trying to do the best. So we know that, it's something which will need to help in the long run. It's not something which will happen tomorrow. But unfortunately, we also know the crisis will not be over in a month. And so we can build something sustainable, which helps the people of Lebanon, but it's also, because it's open source based, if there is a crisis somewhere else, people can pick it up and enhance it and adapt it to the new circumstances. And I think that's really what is needed based on my observation.
Okay. What kind of cooperation is required from humanitarian organizations to ensure that efficient and transparent aid is reaching those who really need?
Yeah, so first of all, we are not crisis managers nor a humanitarian organization ourselves, and we don't operate on the ground in Lebanon at this point in time. So we really need the insight and the expertise from these organizations on the ground, as I mentioned previously. So we reached out to our network to have many conversations to understand the situation. So we built something what is relevant. Because, I can make up my mind at home and come up with an idea, but it might actually not help anybody, or it's not the most pressing item we need to solve, So that's the first part. And, we had a lot of conversations. There was very positive feedback. And based on that, we built the challenge to build this donation platform. The second part is really, once we call upon the developers and people register and join and say, yes, I want to contribute, I give you my time, my expertise to build a part of the solution, to also provide them with insights. So we had an expert panel consisting of, we had representation from the World Food Programme, from Live Love Beirut, all of them operating on the ground and being based in Lebanon, to talk to our developers, to explain them what is happening. So it's really also for them to understand what problem they solve and to feel the purpose and why they are really, spending their time with us. And the third part is, we are looking for a partner because we are not going to operate the platform. We can build the technology. We can, define what is needed, prioritize, provide the expertise. But to actually run it successfully, we need a partner in Lebanon who says, I have built these relationships across multiple nonprofit organizations who are willing to partner with me, but who also trust, and also the people trust, to come to me and ask for help. So it's like this centerpiece, which is really important to say, I can build technology, but if we don't put it to work, it will not help. And that's really where we are looking for partnership with a local organization to do that.
Okay, is there any local partner now or not yet?
So we're in some conversations. It's just too early to make any announcements, but I'm confident that we are on a good track and we will have a partner once we are building out the solution and finalize it.
Okay, so tell us about Al-Wasil Connect and how will IBM be working to enhance and ready it as a platform for the distribution of humanitarian aid?
Okay, so the first step we took was to take an existing asset and we open sourced it, which means it's available to anybody to download the code and reuse it and enhance it. So this is really important because we don't, it shouldn't be anybody like owning it and making any profit from it. The second part was to call on the developers and ask them to build incremental code to enhance it. And now we are at the stage where we have the submissions and we need to actually integrate the existing Al-Wasil Connect platform with the new pieces of code. And for this, we are going to build an IBM corporate service core. So this is an initiative we have in IBM as part of the IBM International Foundation, which is our nonprofit organization. And we are operating since more than 10 years. And we are basically asking IBMers to volunteer for a period of a month or 2 months and to work on initiatives with nonprofit, government organization, educational and civic leaders to tackle problems as well. And so what we do, we are building this team of experts who will take the code, will integrate it, but also will work with the partner to identify what else is needed, what has the biggest impact in a short period of time, and add this functionality as well. They will test it, complete it, so the partner can take it over and actually run it and use it.
Okay, so finally, what are your expectations for this campaign and how much needy people can really benefit from it?
So first of all, I think it's hard to forecast how much people will benefit from it because it really depends on how that partner network will come together, who registers from a nonprofit organization and a people perspective. That really goes back to, finding the right partner who is trusted. My personal expectation is, that we are building a sustainable solution which helps humanitarian organizations to optimize the delivery and distribution of aid using a cloud-based and data-driven platform. What is also important to say, IBM, we have our own values as IBMers. We always want to be essential, not just for our clients, but also for the world. And, that's why, my team, which worked on the challenge to reach out to the network, they are all volunteers. And I think this is really where we can help. What my expectation is that we provide the skills and the resources, the technology, and, build a collaboration, not just inside IBM, but also across the NGOs and the developers to come up with something which makes the world better.
Okay, is there any time limit for this campaign?
So we finished the coding part. We are currently reviewing the submissions. We are putting together the corporate service core as we speak. And then, I would hope that, within the next 3 months, we are having something up and running. But, there are some factors I cannot control at this point, but, we're working hard on it.
Okay, thank you again, Ms. Sabine and IBM for giving أولا اقتصاد الأعمال this opportunity.
No, thank you so much.